3. Take it away, Rick.
April 13th, 2021. 7 more days before Apple's spring announcements. Today, we're going to have questions and answers. We've got some iOS tips. We're going to talk about FaceTime and the Federal Trade Commission, heavy stuff. Not very long though. WWDC, 6 things that can be faked to compromise your security. Make Siri learn to pronounce correctly. 10 things you didn't know that Safari can do. And I want you to meet my good friend Alfred today. Very useful, thanks to Chris Wysocki, who introduced me first. And are Apple's vaunted AirTags mooted already? 2 useful tools for you. Learn about status menus and a link for you to learn about a crazy way to organize your photos, but we aren't going to show you the video because it's 13 minutes long, 13 precious minutes that we don't have to share. So anyway, let's go to questions and answers. I'm not sure that we got any this time, except for one. Nobody posted any on the bulletin board for us, did they, John?
Yeah, one just came in.
Okay, well, let's go over this one. I would like to be able to do my banking on my 2 Macs using the same password with each. How can I sync my passwords? Well, I think what you don't need to do is to sync your passwords so much as to have the same password, but log into your bank using your browser and have a single password for your bank. That's the way I would do it. Is anybody?
And you want to
ideas?
have your keychain synced via iCloud, and then in Safari, it will remember your password on both computers. That's the normal way to do it.
Yeah, although I don't allow my machine to retain my password for my banking or my brokerage, I type that in by hand all the time. But it's the same password where whatever machine I'm on. I could use your computer and still use my same password.
Absolutely. So is that person here who asked that?
Sharon Fernandez.
Okay, well, move on.
Okay, so what's the other question?
Okay, you want to go to the BBS? You stop your share and I'll put it up. It's kind of, we need to see it on the screen.
Okay, let's see. Stop share. Okay.
Okay, I will share screen. I'll share the screen. I'll open the BBS. And where is the BBS out here? I'll use this machine, so it's somewhere.
I don't see it on your list of icons.
I know. You know why?
I tried.
First Class came out with a new version, and I tried it on Big Sur to see if it helps with the goofiness, and it doesn't. It doesn't help.
Did it break?
No, it's just the icons are still funky.
Okay. Here's where you want.
Okay, so this is I think this is the new version.
There you go.
201, 16.201.
Yeah.
Okay, Zoom mail.
Some of our members may never have seen this, John. It might be good that we're showing them.
Yeah, okay, so let's make this bigger. So there's 2 questions. Does one always have to upgrade or update an Apple ID settings request? It seems like it's always messes things up. Do I want to update? Yes, because what it's telling you is you're no longer logged in and you have to log in. And if you don't log in, you're not syncing anything. It's not working basically unless you do this.
Be careful, John. They're using the term update.
Well, this happens to me all the time on multiple machines. If I don't use one, it'll say, when you start the machine up, it'll say, okay, something to the effect that you're not logged in, view your settings, or log back in. If you don't log in, you're not syncing. You're not.
Yeah, you'd have to use your username and your password both on.
Yeah, you
on
have
a
to
new
re-enter your
machine.
login. You have to do that, or it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think he probably meant re-enter rather than update.
Camille, are you here, Camille? She's not here.
Jeez.
Okay, the answer is yes, or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
John, she is here, but she's muted. She's talking. Camille,
Oh.
we can't hear you.
Unmute yourself, yeah.
Just press the space bar, Camille. Press
Or
and hold.
press-
Press and hold. There you go. You can talk
Every
now.
time I have updated, it really plays havoc with my passwords, because then they say, we don't like your password, you have to change it. So
See, that's
put
what
your
I thought.
password in so that we can change, you can change it, and I don't know what password they're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay,
see,
so-
Camille, you're using the term change the password or
Don't
change
do
your
that.
password. You shouldn't do that. You
Okay,
should have
so you
one
only
password and keep it.
you only have one password for everything Apple. It's your Apple ID. It's for the App Store, the iTunes Store, iCloud. There is only one Apple ID.
Well, I hope
On your
now that I
phone,
have
your
that.
iPad, everywhere you go, there's only one Apple password.
Okay, well, apparently I never had an Apple password before or something, because when I called the Apple Care, the young lady said, well, you need a separate you need a separate password for Apple ID, and then a different password for Camille Giulio at gmail.com.
Yes.
No.
No, for email and your Apple ID are two different things. You only need
But
one.
it would say Camille Giulio 2 at me.com.
Okay,
Well,
so your Apple ID can have a login of any email addresses. It does not even have to be an Apple address. So
Well,
you could
she's
be
talking
logging
about
in.
a me.com, John. Me.com. That's an
That
Apple.
could be. That could be. That's an old address because they don't give those out anymore. So that me.com email address is part of your Apple ID, and it has the same password as your Apple ID login. There's only one password.
Yeah, anything Apple, Camille, is going to have that unique ID for you with that unique password. But if you go to Gmail or another mail account, then you may even have a different identity.
It could be possible that your Apple ID login is not your me.com address, and then it's your Gmail address. Once you go to iCloud.com and go to your account information, you're successfully able to get in. You can see what's set up in there, all your contact information, the ways they can contact you, your different emails and your different phone numbers and stuff.
I think yesterday when I was working with a woman from Apple Care, I think that site showed up, and it looked like there were about 5 different addresses for me. Well, Mac.com, me.com, Gmail, I don't know. It just
Okay.
was a whole mess of things.
All the Apple, you could have many Apple you could have 3 different Apple addresses depending on how long you had it. Originally it was Mac.com, then it was me.com, then it was iCloud.com. Any of those will work. You send an email to any of those and they show up in the same place.
Could I delete any of them? Or
You
do I
cannot
have to keep them all?
No, you cannot delete them.
Oh,
And it doesn't matter, they all work.
you hope.
That's
you
not
don't-
your problem of wanting you to log in. So if you got logged into that page, that was your Apple ID password, and that's what you need to put in when your computer says you need to update your Apple ID settings because we're not logged in. That's the password you use to get
Okay,
back in and be syncing again.
I'll try.
The second part of your question is there a separate ID, or meaning to have a password for Apple ID and then another for Google ID?
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. They are not related. They're 2 different companies. You could
Two-
make
two
them the
different
same, but it would
stores.
probably be a bad idea.
They never seem to like any of my passwords anymore. They say I use them too often, and somebody's gonna sneak in and take all my information if I don't
Well, they
change it.
all password, everybody has different requirements. Your Apple ID password always has to have one capital letter and one number. Google
And-
doesn't seem to matter. I have a really, lowercase, all one word, they don't have any special requirements, and maybe in length. Everybody has different, but it doesn't really matter. You should have a separate password for everything.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
just bad.
might-
It's a bad practice to have the same password on multiple sites, because especially your emails, your primary email, if you have the same, if they get that, they can go say they get your Gmail and they're in your Gmail. They can go to Amazon and say, I forgot my password, send me a reset. And then they send it to Gmail and they have it, and they change your Amazon password and boom, they're in.
Well, I think it's a pain in the neck to have 15 different passwords, but I guess that's what I have to live with.
Is Karn here?
Camille, I've got 360.
Okay,
Menage.
is Karn here
Yeah.
right now?
I'm here.
You want to tell her why it's a good idea to have separate passwords?
Yeah, I got hacked.
Oh. Sorry
And,
about that.
Well,
I had, some old passwords that were alike. And so, who knows?
And they
Oh,
logged into her bank and transferred $15,000 from her savings to
God.
her checking.
God. Well, then what I have to do, I guess, is write it all down on paper and drag it around with me all the time if I'm.
No,
or
you use
get
a
a password
password.
manager.
Use a password manager. Safari has keychain, and that's built into your browser. And if you use all Apple products, it will sync to all your devices, and you can store them all in there.
Okay, okay, I will
Built in.
learn that. Thank you.
John,
My second
also-
question had to do with what the heck is incognito? I got into it on the iPad and I hate it. I don't know what it is.
John, also tell her that she won't have to remember those passwords except
Yeah, you
for
don't
one.
make typos. You don't have to remember them.
So I can enter all these passwords into the keychain thing, but I only
No.
need one email, one password to get into the keychain.
Your keychain is automatically unlocked when you log into your computer, and you just use it, and you don't have to do anything. Do you use Safari as your web browser?
No, I
Well, then
haven't.
then you have a problem, because keychain only works with Safari. So if you use another browser, you'll have to use another password manager like LastPass or 1Password or something even more obscure.
So could I open the thing up with the Safari keychain, but then go on to Chrome or whatever?
No,
No.
No.
The easiest thing why don't you want to use Safari?
I just haven't used it for a very long time, that's all.
Okay, well,
I thought that I would be doing better using the Google, everything Google.
well,
there are some people who would say they don't want to use anything Google.
so
Well, I'm not, well,
if you want to make it easy on yourself, you will use Safari, because it will sync to your iPad, your iPhone, your other computers, and all your passwords are unlocked in the keychain and safe, and it's all in the Apple universe, and it all works.
okay,
it's free.
well, I'll switch then, I guess. Okay, thank you.
And the answer about incognito is incognito. That's from, is that Firefox or Chrome?
I think it's Firefox.
Yeah, incognito means that they don't know who you are or where you're going, supposedly.
Well,
I'm
I've
not
got a
sure I
split
trust it.
screen because of it, and it's black, and it just drives me crazy.
Just turn it off.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. I can't find out how to turn it off.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't use Firefox, but we could Google it and say,
So they were talking about this on Mac Break Weekly a little while ago. And I've heard this story before, or some judge or something, or Senate hearing said, oh, you mean when I use Google Chrome and I say private browsing, everybody, that doesn't stop the websites from knowing who I am and what I'm doing? Absolutely not. All it does is hide it from your wife or your spouse or your kids on your machine. Doesn't hide anything from the internet whatsoever. So
Here's
some
your
people
answer,
think,
Camille.
Yes. Where?
Whenever you want, you can disable private browsing to restore all Firefox features. Click the Firefox button and click Options to open the Options dialog box. Click the dialog box.
Click Firebox options.
Well, once you've got Firefox open, then click Options.
Uh-huh.
And then click the dialog box privacy tab inside of that. And then you can then turn off always use private browsing. Now that's Firefox. Let's say that's how to turn off incognito in Chrome, if that's Chrome. I'm doing this on my iPad. Yeah, it is incognito. How to disable incognito mode in Chrome.
and just so people know, it doesn't really do anything unless you don't want your spouse to see that you've been shopping for an anniversary present or something on this when they're looking at your computer.
Oh God. They're talking about regedit. This is, I think I got a bad spot there. Disable incognito in Chrome for
Okay,
Mac.
while we're waiting, your third question is when it asks you, do you want to open the Zoom meeting? Yeah, you want to do that. If you don't, it doesn't work.
Okay.
When you do that, then it opens Zoom and goes to our meeting.
Okay.
John or somebody, can I chime into what Camille said about passwords on, you said the passwords in Keychain Safari translate to the iPhone. How do you get them to do that from your
In
computer?
your Apple ID under iCloud, there's a switch for keychain. You need to turn it on.
Okay. iCloud, Apple ID, iCloud. Thank you.
And I believe that requires two-factor authentication to be turned on also,
Okay.
if I remember right.
And I want to turn on Keychain.
Yep.
On both devices, right?
Yep. On all the devices you want it to work on.
Oh, okay. I have a very old iPad. I could try it on that.
Yeah, it works pretty far back.
Thank you.
Keychain's been around for a long time.
My goodness.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing
Trying-
this question here because we're done with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. It looks like you have to go into terminal to do this.
Oh, geez. Don't do that. To fix the Chrome?
To turn off incognito in Chrome.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. There should be a switch. If you turned it on, there should be the same place
That's
to
what I
turn it
would
off.
think too. Okay, here it is. You have to go to utilities, open terminal, defaults, right, com.google.chrome, incognito mode availability, integer 1. That's crazy.
Where is it that you turn it on? Oh, new incognito window, file, new incognito window. Okay. It just opens up another window. You just close the window.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, under the 3 dots in the upper right corner, I opened up
You should be
Chrome
able to
on
just
my
press the
iPad.
red button and close the window. I just did it.
Yeah.
You want to share it and see it?
Go ahead.
Share screen. Okay, so I'm going to open Chrome. So is this what you see? You have Chrome, and the way you invoke it is File, New Incognito Window, and it basically opens a new window. This is what you're seeing over here. This is, but you have them side by side.
She had an iPad.
No, she has an
not
iPad.
No, totally
Well,
different.
I would imagine it would open a new tab, and you would just close the tab. Because all you gotta do to get rid of this is press the red button and it goes away. So it would just
And-
open a new, there's no windowing system like that.
On-
Oh, I know
on
what
a
she
Mac-
did. She put them in split view.
Yeah. On a
That's
Mac,
what you did.
under the three dots in the upper right corner, you can turn incognito off and on.
But on the iPad, you open a incognito and somehow she put it into split view. So she needs to quit the split view, however you do that. So I will stop sharing this. Great.
Okay. So here I come back.
If I want to get rid of,
Yeah, I think we need to move on. I think you should go to Google and ask how to get rid of or a
Just turn
split
off,
view window.
thanks for
go
your
up to
help.
the three dots and click turn off incognito.
I think
Okay,
it's the split screen that's getting her. You should Google.
Yeah,
how
it
turn
doesn't have
off
to do with
split screen.
incognito. It's because it's split. It's a split screen.
oh. Somebody posted someplace that the buttons on their iPhone weren't working and they wanted to be able to shut down the phone, but they couldn't do it because the buttons weren't working. But there's a way to do it on the iPhone and the iPad without using the buttons. Go to settings, go to general, scroll down to the very bottom of the list and select shutdown. Slide to shut down, you slide the little slider and it shuts down. Easy.
Does it reopen afterwards?
Oh, I don't know, Howard, try it and see. I think it does. I think it will. It kind of resets the whole thing. Should get your buttons working for you again. So I thought you'd like to see a nice face of a nice young man. F.T.C is after these guys, and I don't blame them. They claim that Facebook is buying out all the competition and eliminating a competitive playing field. They want Facebook to divest of some of these things that they've purchased. WhatsApp is one of them, and Instagram. So watch this space and see what comes next. But just for what it's worth, I wouldn't touch Facebook with your 10-foot pole. June 6th is WWDC, but preceding that, at the beginning in the intro, I commented that it's a week, and now there's going to be a spring fling from Apple on the 20th of April. So if you've got an Apple TV, log in on the 20th of April at about 9 o'clock in the morning. I think, is it 9 or 10, John?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
And it'll be in the Sunday MailChimp. You can watch it on almost anything. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on your phone, your iPad, your Mac OS browser, or you can watch it everywhere.
Yep. So I think there's going to be new stuff announced, and check your checkbook. Chris, have you got the videos ready to go?
Yep, all ready.
Okay.
This
Here
is a
comes
really good video. You got to pay attention to this, people.
and make a note of the fact that on the video, at the very bottom of the video, I put the URL for it so that you can jot it down and watch it at your leisure, or when John posts the rerun on YouTube, you can see it again. But yeah, this is a good video.
It was in Sunday's email.
Yeah, good. Okay, so I stopped sharing.
Yep,
Chris?
stop sharing and I'll take over the screen.
Okay, there you go.
Got it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let me tell you about 6 things that can be faked in order to get into your accounts or your computer. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to macmost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now everybody's concerned about security when it comes to your computer and your online accounts. But a lot of people ignore the most vulnerable thing, which is you. You being tricked into giving away information so that people can get into your computer or accounts. They usually do this by faking something. So here are 6 things that can be faked in order to trick you into giving up your information. The first one is email. Email can be easily faked. The address that you see in the from field in an email can totally be faked. Just because it says it's from somebody or from a company doesn't mean anything. An email can be sent from any source and have a different source in from. It's the same as if you got a physical piece of mail and somebody wrote a different return address in the upper left hand corner or on the other side of the envelope. They could write anything they want there. And it's the same with email. You could have anything in that from field and it doesn't mean that that email is from that location. So an email may look like it's from your bank or from a shopping site or social media site, and it could be from anybody. Now this is called a phishing attack. And the main point of this kind of attack is to trick you into thinking you've gotten an official email from someplace, but the email actually contains a link to a completely different place, a malicious server that is going to try to steal your information. So the email may look completely legitimate. All of the text and graphics may look identical to emails you usually get from this source, but a link in there is going to lead to a different location. You may actually have a bunch of links in there and all of them except one may lead to the legitimate website for that service. But you click that one wrong link and now you go to another website that looks like a legitimate website and you enter your ID, your password, and now they have that information. And never trust your eyes to confirm that a link is correct. They can be really tricky, replacing just one letter and making it so that at a glance or even after a long look it looks like the real URL to that website. They can even put a period right at a certain spot where it blends in with another letter and you think you're going to the actual website, you're going somewhere else, and you're giving somebody else your password. And often they try to make the email as stressful as possible. For instance, it may be an email from your bank saying your account is overdrawn. Or it may be from a shopping website saying your account's been closed or some large item has been ordered and is on its way. They try to stress you out so you forget about security, click on a link in there to take care of the problem, and before you know it you've given your password to some malicious site. So how do you protect against this? Well, first, don't trust links in emails. Instead, go to a bookmark you have for the actual site for that actual service or type the URL in manually if it's simple enough. Don't click on the link in the email. Also, password managers help because a password manager matches a domain name with an ID and a password. And if the link is fake, well, the password manager is not going to find a match for it in its database. So it's not going to have an ID or a password for that, which is going to tip you off that it was actually a fake email and a fake link. Now next we have phone calls. And I hope you know that caller ID can totally be faked. Both the phone number and the name that comes up. So something may seem to come from a company you do business with, but it's not necessarily the case. So if somebody calls you, immediately be suspicious and don't give them any information. And keep in mind they may try to convince you that they are the real company by giving you information, but a lot of your information is publicly available. Just because they know your address or some information about your account doesn't mean it's the legitimate company calling you. And don't trust any number they give you to call back or any website they tell you to go to. Instead, go and look up the phone number for that company. You probably have it on a bill, or if you log into your account you can see a phone number and you can call their customer service department. Do that instead of talking to whoever called you on the phone. Matter of fact, it's best to let those calls go to voicemail. Listen to the voicemail, ignore the number that they give and the number on caller ID, and call the customer support number. Now a common use for this is for someone to call you and tell you there's a problem with your computer to make you panic, that you give them access to your computer, and now they can do all sorts of things. Apple will never call you to tell you there's a problem on your Mac. They don't know. They're not monitoring you. Your internet service provider will never call you either. Nobody will call you and tell you there's a problem and try to help you fix it. All of those calls will be fake. And if someone is calling and asking for money, even if it's from a company that you know, hang up on them. It's almost always a scam, and just go to the website or call the customer support number that you have for that company and talk to them that way. Now also, of course, text messages can be faked just as easily as phone numbers. The number calling you can be faked. The caller ID can be faked. Don't trust anything that you get in a text message from somebody you don't know, or it's asking you to log on to a website or telling you there's a problem. Call the official support phone number for whatever company it is, or go to their website and look at your messages on there. Never click a link that you get in a text message from a company. And the same is true for social media messages too. This is rarer, but it is possible to get fake messages like that on systems like WhatsApp, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. There are ways to get in there and trick you into thinking a text message is real. Now another thing that could be faked that fewer people know about are websites. A website can be fake. You can go to the right URL, look at that website, but you're not looking at that website. Now this would happen if you're on some Wi-Fi that's been compromised. So not your home Wi-Fi, probably not work or school either, but maybe using Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or other location. They can change what's on the router so that when you go to a website, you're not actually going to the real one. You're being redirected to a malicious server somewhere else. And it looks just like the regular website. It asks you to log on, you enter your password and ID, and now you've given them your password to that site. And password managers won't protect you against this because they can't possibly know that you're at the wrong site. It looks to you and to them like you're at the right site. So how do you protect against that? Well, first, it's rare, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But basically, don't try to log on to any site or click on a link in an email to anything important if you're on Wi-Fi you don't trust. So if you happen to be out, say at a coffee shop, and you get an important email and you need to log on to your bank or something like that, don't do it there. Wait till you go home. Or maybe switch to your own mobile provider for internet access. Use your iPhone's hotspot instead of the local Wi-Fi to make sure that doesn't happen. Also, of course, using two-factor authentication will protect you from this. It won't protect you at that moment. You'll still be able to log on to the fake website or not log on as the case may be. But if somebody takes your password and tries to use it later on, they won't be able to get on because they don't have the second factor, the code you'd be getting on your phone. Here's another one that most people don't think about. Social media accounts can be faked. So what happens here usually is somebody sees a public social media account like a Facebook account. There's the picture, there's the name. They go and they create a new Facebook account with the same picture, that same name, and then they see who the real account has as friends, and then they friend request all of those people. So you get a friend request from somebody you actually know and you accept it. The email is legitimate. It's actually coming from the real social media service, but it's not the real person. It's a fake person. And for months you may not hear again from that account, or they may post some innocuous things and it doesn't really ring any alarm bells. But then all of a sudden that account asks you for help, asks you for money, asks you to go to a website, all sorts of things. One way to protect yourself is to check with that person to make sure they really have set up a new social media account. Maybe check to see if you already are friends with them. That's a sure signal that this new account is a fake account. And you can make sure your name and photo aren't used in this kind of scam by making your social media accounts private. So somebody who's not your friend can't see information about you, and in particular can't see who your friends are. So this can't be used to actually then ask people to be the friend of this new fake account. Now, in addition to websites being fake, you can also have fake alerts show up on real websites. So you probably have seen this. You go to a website and you see on there that your Mac may have a virus. Click here to diagnose or something like that. These are just fake alerts. A website cannot possibly know that your machine has any problems at all. It doesn't have access to it. It only is displaying information for you to see. These are quite often just advertisements for downloading some sort of antivirus software or something like that. But in the worst case scenario, they're really malicious. In some cases they're not ads, but the website itself has been compromised. Whoever owns the website doesn't notice it because maybe if they log on they don't see it. But then when someone like you goes to the website, you get shown this alert that isn't supposed to be there. And you think, oh, something's wrong with my computer. I need to click on this link and do something like that. If you're ever shown any information on a website that you may have malware or a virus or anything like that, it's fake. It can't know. It can't possibly know. Just ignore it and maybe consider going to a different website if that seems to be persistent on that one. Because there's obviously a problem with that website. It's got nothing to do with you. And just seeing these doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your Mac at all. There's nothing you need to do except ignore it and maybe stop going to that site. So there are 6 things that could easily be faked to trick you into giving up account information or computer access to somebody else. Now, one final thing that covers all 6 of these is a lot of websites give bad advice in that you should look at spelling and language in all of these to determine if something's fake. If words are misspelled or grammar is really bad inside of the message, then that's a sign that this is a scam and not real. But that's really bad advice because it can just as easily be perfect. It can use perfect grammar, perfect spelling. And if you trust it because the spelling and grammar are perfect, then that could lead to trouble. It's very easy for them to get it all right or even just copy a real message from the real service and now it looks perfect. So don't follow that advice. Don't look for spelling and grammar mistakes. Just always be suspicious of whatever email, phone call, text message, or any communication that you get, that it may not be real, that it may not come from who it says it comes from, and that it may be trying to steal your login information or get access to your computer. If you like this video,
That's all really good stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen
One
that,
of the
I've
things-
seen that all many times, every one of those things.
I've been recently getting some spam to one of my almost unused accounts to me from me. And there's no way to unsubscribe, no way to do anything. I've looked at their IP addresses. They're all different IP addresses, mostly from around Washington, D.C., but there seems to be no way that I can stop that stuff. So I just keep sending it to junk. It's pernicious. So on the one more thing, there will be sometimes that when you're on a web page, all of a sudden you'll get a big red window with a terrible screeching noise saying that your Mac is infected. And it's almost impossible to get rid of that. So what you have to do is quit Safari or quit your browser and then restart it, and then you should be okay.
So here's a tip for that. Usually this happens, you can't get out of it. It seems like your computer is frozen. It really does have a problem. It's the web page you're on that's hijacked your browser and you can't quit your browser. So it appears you do have a problem. So you have to force quit your browser by Command Option Escape, crash the browser, hold down the Shift key, restart the browser. Because if you don't do that, a lot of times when you restart the browser, it goes back to that page because they've hijacked it.
Yeah.
So if you crash the browser, hold the Shift key, start it up. If it goes back to your normal page, quit the browser, you're good to go. You launch it with no Shift key and it should come back to normal and you should be fine.
Evil.
Almost always
Evil
works.
people. Just nasty. I don't know if you've ever run into this, but when I ask, I won't say the name SIRI, but when I'll say, hey, SIRI, make a FaceTime call to my daughter, for instance, Gina Calicura, she's always saying, okay, I'll make a FaceTime call to Gina Calicura. Well, that's not the way you say it. And I found that it's easy to get her to say it the right way. So when she mispronounces the name, say, hey, SIRI, that's not how you say that. And she should respond this way. Okay, how do you pronounce the name first? So that'd be the first name only, not the last name. Then you say it, and there will be a list of choices over here. No, I'm not sharing, am I? I was going to move my mouse around. Play option 1, play option 2, play option 3. And she will have 3 different versions of that pronunciation. You select the one you like. And then she'll say, okay, how do you say the second one? And that'd be the last name. And you say Calicura. And she'll then give you several variants of that, including the proper one. And then from then on, she's supposed to remember how to say it the right way. So I found that to be a very useful tool for her. Even French names or Spanish names, she can manage them if you tell her how to say them. Okay, Chris, let's move to the next slide. 10 things you didn't know you could do in Safari. This is another one of those very interesting videos, so let's go ahead and roll it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let me show you 10 things that you may not know you can do in Safari on the Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 800 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So first, did you know you could reopen tabs that you've accidentally closed? I use this all the time. So for instance, let's say I close this tab here. I can instantly undo. If you look at Edit, Undo, it's Undo Close Tab. So a quick Command Z will bring that tab back. But there are other ways to do it as well. You can go to History and then there's Recently Closed and see a list of recently closed tabs. But right under it is Reopen Last Closed Tab, Shift Command T. And if you close the entire window like this, you could bring it back by going to History and then it's Reopen Last Closed Window. And all the tabs return. And if you were to quit Safari and then relaunch it and you've got your system preferences set so it opens a fresh new window, not the previous one, you can go to History and use Reopen Last Closed Window there, but also reopen all windows from last session. Now you may know that you can use the back button. Clicking it will go back to the previous page. But if you click and hold the back button, you get a list of all of the pages that you've been to. The same is true for the forward button as well. Now sometimes searching and then finding the web page you want isn't enough. You need to find the information on the web page. So while you're on a page you can use Command F and it brings up a search box at the top that will search the web page. You can set it to begins with or contains. Do a search and then it will tell you how many matches and you can flip through each one. It's really handy for finding information buried deep in an article. Now sometimes you want to have a tab or a window open but you don't necessarily want to have a web page loaded up in it. You could go to Safari, Preferences, and under General set new windows to open with empty page or new tabs to open with empty page. Well, what happens if you want to take the existing tab and just have that display a blank page for the time being? This is a tip that goes back to the very beginning of web browsers in the early 90s. What you need to do is go to the location About: blank. No spaces. That loads up a blank page. An example of when you may use this is say you're about to give a presentation and you know you're going to be showing stuff on the web, so you want to get your browser all set up and ready with the window, the size, and the location that you want, but you don't want it to display anything yet. You can go to About: blank to just display a blank page for the time being. Now when you go to download something from a web page you can click the download link and it will save that to your downloads folder. But what if you want to save it to a specific location on your drive? You don't want to have to change the location of the downloads folder all the time. Instead you can control click on the link, two-finger click on a trackpad or right click on the mouse, bring up the context menu and use Download Linked File As. And this allows you to choose a location. You can expand this and choose any location to save this file. So a quick click will save it to your downloads folder. A control click and then Download Linked File As will save it to a location you want. If you're always doing this and never using the downloads folder, you can go into Preferences and then under General, File Download Location, you could set it to ask for each download. When you want to search for something you can just type what you want in the address bar here, hit Return, and it will give you search results, usually at Google. But you can change the search engine that's used by default by going to Safari, Preferences, and under Search, and you could set the search engine to one of 5 different options. And no matter what your default is set to, you don't have to use the address bar to search. You could go directly to the search engine and search using their page. Now when you're at a site you may want to zoom in by using Zoom In and Zoom Out or the keyboard shortcuts for those. And if you find you're always doing that on a certain website, you can set defaults for that website. Go to Safari, Preferences, Websites, and then look for Page Zoom. Here it'll show me the currently open sites, but even if I don't have the site open, if I've set something different, like I've bumped Wikipedia up to 125%, it will appear in this list. you can change the default right here to whatever you want and it will remember that. And you can set the default for all other websites right here. Another thing you could set right here that's really handy is pop-up windows. Select that. It'll show you the current websites and any that you set something for other than the default. So you can set a specific website to always allow pop-ups. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, I find a lot of websites, particularly financial ones like banks and tax sites and things like that, have downloads tied to pop-up windows. So if you don't allow pop-ups, sometimes downloading from the site doesn't quite work right. Fortunately, those sites usually don't have ads on them of any kind, so allowing pop-ups is pretty harmless and then the site works better. A fairly new feature in Safari is the ability to automatically translate a web page. When you go to a web page that's not in your language, you usually get this little button here that you can click and it will translate for you. Now you can see a lot of the text has been translated, although text and images of course won't be translated. And then as you browse that site, it'll continue to perform the translation until you turn it off. Now I showed you before how you could zoom in on a web page by going to View, Zoom In, and Zoom Out. But if you hold the Option key, this changes to make text bigger, it makes text smaller. It's like zoom, but it won't zoom images, only text. So Option Command and then plus, you can see changes the size of the text, but not the size of the images. In most cases, this is all you really want when you zoom in on a web page. You just want to make the text a little bigger. Now when you're at a web page like this, in the address bar, all you'll see is the domain name. You won't see the actual page you're at. Clearly we're not at wikipedia.org here. We are at a specific page in Wikipedia. If I click on the address bar, I can see the full location. But I could also see that by default. If I go to Safari, Preferences, and then Advanced, I can select Show Full Website Address and you can see I'll always see the full address here at the top. You can also navigate in Safari using just the keyboard. You don't have to go to System Preferences and turn on any accessibility function to do that. In Safari Preferences, under Advanced, look at Accessibility here. There's an option here to press Tab to highlight each item on the web page. But note it also says that using Option Tab will give you this functionality without even turning this on. So while I'm here, if I were to normally tab, it would go to places like the search field here. But if I Option Tab, it actually jumps around to all of the links. And if I want to go to a link, I can just press Return. And then of course in conjunction with other keyboard shortcuts, like under History, the keyboard shortcuts for going back, forward, home, and under File, the ability to go to the address bar to type a new address, Command L, I can navigate pretty much anywhere I want using just the keyboard. Now a lot of times when we want to search for something, we want to actually search for a web page we've already been to. If you do a search here at the top, you can see Bookmarks and History here and it will find a result that's in your history without you having to go to Google or another search engine to find the page again. But you could also go to History, Show All History, and at the top here you can search just your history and find just the pages that you've been to recently. A quick way to do that with the keyboard is use the shortcut Command Y and then do Command F to move to the search field and then just start typing. So there's some things that you might not have known that you can do in Safari on your Mac. Hope you found this useful.
One of the things that's a little provoking to me was that they got that Command Y, which used to be put away. So that in the old days, if you put something in the trash and you wanted to say, I don't want to dump that, I want to put it back where it was, you could hit Command Y and it would be put back. Now I think they have another different put away command. But that's very useful to know. There's a lot of very interesting things. And the guys who think this stuff up just never cease to amaze me. Some time ago, Chris Wysocki introduced me to Alfred. Alfred is an amazing piece of software. And I'm going to hide the screen for,
do you want to take over the screen, Rick, so you can demonstrate
it? Yeah, briefly, if I may.
Yeah, sure. I've lost my mouse.
I hope you find it.
No, it's the cursor. I lost. Okay, so by all means connect.
Yeah, it's hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, I think the cursor doesn't work when you're playing a keynote. It just disappears. But if you get out of playing a keynote by pressing escape, then it comes back.
Let's see where I am here. Yeah, we don't want to be here. Cancel. So I want to go back to my,
Yeah, I think you're showing an app, not a desktop.
yeah, where's my desktop? If I hit share desktop,
Share desktop one.
okay, great.
That shares your whole computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alfred is a little freebie. Up here you can see my cursor is moving around this little derby hat. Alfred is this free little utility that is accessible by holding the Option key and the Shift key. So if I touch both, up will come a window. So if I want to find anything on my computer named Gene, so, well, there's Carol Jean Tillman, Gene Carr, Gene Calicura, and everything with the name Gene. Likewise, if I wanted to open Pages, or let's see if, what's the name of this application? Say I want to open Etrecheck, and I don't know where it is on my machine. I'll put ETRE, boom, there it is. So I can open it up. It is absolutely swift in its speed, or Pages. And there's Pages. It just opens it right up for me. Or if I want to find a document, let's see if I can find something. Yeah, pandemic meeting information. Okay, close that out. Cancel.
Command
so if I
W.
want to find, pardon me?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, Command W, close. So if I want to find anything with pandemic in it, not there. But if I thought it's not searching my iCloud drive, and I can't get to my documents. Let me find stuff that's okay. Yeah. So I want Christmas 2010. It's not finding it. And I just saw it.
That's a shame.
Christmas. That's disappointing. Yeah, what did I do wrong, Chris?
I don't know.
It should be searching my documents.
Should it? Do you need a capital C? Would that make a difference?
Let's try it.
Or Xmas?
Nope.
No.
Not searching your computer.
It's not searching the computer, right?
Try it with Apple and see what happens.
Well, some of these things so far you can do in Spotlight.
Yes, that's what I'm doing now, just to see if I can find it. See, it's not finding a document.
Can you go into your preferences on Alfred and then check what you've got enabled? So yeah, click on Alfred preferences. On the left-hand side, click on features and click on file search. Okay, extras, documents. I think you need to have.
Oh, you don't have documents turned on.
That's it. That's it. And we want folders and images as well.
Yeah.
And text files.
Sure.
Now, is that like Spotlight? Now it takes a while to index all that stuff, or does it pick up the Spotlight index?
If Rick tries it now, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. So let's find Gene. Haircuts for Gene. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so there's everything.
There's docs. Look, there's docs.
Yeah, everything there. If I want to find
Christmas
pandemic,
yeah,
I'll look for Christmas. Yeah, the Mac Clinic pandemic protocol, that was there. Find Christmas 2010. So there's Pages thing for 2010. You could tell I'm kind of anal. I keep lists of stuff. but it is such a marvelous, very rapid little device that not only finds things, but will make action as well. It will open anything that you want. And I just find it indispensable. And I every time I use it, I think of Chris Wysocki.
Hey, try this for as well. Bring up the search box. You can do calculations. So you can do like 12 times 56, and it'll give you.
Okay. I was
go
going to
ahead.
say 17 times 23.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, don't press in.
17 times 23. 391.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So it does.
neat.
It's a real quick way to, if you're doing something and you need to calculate something, you just pull it up and type in the thingy and get an answer.
So what are
Can't
the
you
some?
do that in Spotlight too?
Sorry, Janet, what did you say?
Can't you do that in
Yeah.
Spotlight?
I don't know.
Yeah, but all I have to do with this is just hit Option Command, and up comes the window. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
Spotlight is Command Space, isn't it?
Command
Yeah.
space, but it's not as fast.
No, Alfred is snappy.
So what is it you can do with the Power Pack, which is the paid version?
That I don't know. I don't have that.
Chris
I use
uses
the free
that, don't
version.
you?
Yes, I do. And you know why I use it, right?
Yeah, I know you got it. It enables more features, right?
It enables more features.
Yes.
Power Pack. Yeah, what does it do? For me, I like it because it gives me command prompt. I can like pop straight into a command window.
So you can enter terminal commands?
Yes, I can enter terminal commands.
I'm going to stop sharing and let you share it then, Chris.
Okay, so yeah, okay, let me share my screen. Desktop with sound share. Okay, so here it is. If I go to preferences, you'll see on the left, I click on Power Pack, it says your Power Pack license info at Alfred. Of course, that's legit, of course, yes. We shouldn't be showing you this.
It is,
okay.
There's only one level of the Power Pack, right?
Right. So here I could do a command. I could say AL, for example, and it pulls up a command prompt and does an AL for me. So for me, that's like straight in there. Woohoo, I like it, you know. But that's basically all I really use as the command Power Pack. But I know it can do other stuff. Features. Integrates with 1Password as well. I think that's a Power Pack feature. I'm not sure if contacts is a Power Pack feature or whether you've already got that. System commands and stuff. I mean, it can do a lot.
It's include the contacts is included.
No, contacts is included. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see mail. I've had trouble with mail not finding things lately. I don't suppose it can do mail.
Let's have a look. Options, application, options. Okay.
Spotlight indexes your mail.
Yeah, I have to re-index Spotlight.
Don't show emails. So you can disable the search. So I guess it can search email if you've got the facility to disable it. I think the other feature that you have with the Power Pack is you've got workflows. Now, I don't use workflows, but supposedly you can create your own workflows. But I believe that's a Power Pack feature only. The other thing is the appearance. You can change the way it looks. Now, I created my own appearance. Can you see Pistachio by Chris Wysocki? This was like a format I really liked. And then they brought out a new version and they got rid of it. So I went back in time and downloaded the file and then I tweaked it. And I saved my own format. So if you look at the way mine looks compared to say how Rick's looks, it's just a different style. I like the the green effect of the pistachio look. So that's why I kept it and I created my own here, because you can see pistachio by Chris Wysocki. So, I mean, basically that's just the way this bar looks. See, mine's all like greenish. That's
Yeah.
what the pistachio stuff is. But you can change it to a bunch of other things. So yeah.
Well, I have to say, I find it a very worthwhile addition to my little menu of cool gadgets or cool apps for the Mac. It works so splendidly.
Next slide.
Yeah, next slide. Apple's AirTag. This is just brief, and it's just my speculation. But Apple announced this week that they were opening up the Find My network. You know, find my phone, find my computer, find my this or that, to third-party devices. And I'm thinking that maybe AirTags that we've been all anticipating for so long may not ever be coming, since there's already AirTags out there, the little tiles and so forth that you can get to clip on things to find. So I'm just speculating that that's going to put a death knell to the Apple AirTags. Next slide. This is good stuff. John put this up on the bulletin board, and I think he put it in the e-blast.
Yeah.
The ultimate Mac repair guide and your top questions to Mac 911. Boy, if you can, when you get your hands on this keynote, save those URLs, because they're very, very useful. Yeah, let's show them a little bit.
There are summary pages with lots of links to all the other articles in Macworld about fixing stuff.
Yeah. So let's scroll down. And it just, it gives you access to troubleshooting tips, things that you should do. One of the things that's very embarrassing sometimes, when somebody will call and say, hey, I can't start my Mac. Well, check the plug or check the surge protector and it might be off. But there's all kinds of great stuff. How to cycle the power, what to do if it won't boot up. What do you do when you see this symbol?
Now, somebody called me the other day and he said, well, I can't return a mail message. I hit return and then I can't send a reply. I said, well, can you send a new message? A new message? No, I can't send a new message. Can you type anywhere else? No. Well, it doesn't have anything to do with mail. You can't type anywhere on your computer. Your keyboard's not working. Turns out he had an old ADB keyboard with an adapter.
Oh my God.
I said, oh, where's your new keyboard? Oh, it's still in the box. It's been in there for 3 years. Well, you need to get that out and plug that in, see if it works. They call me back later and says, hey, it works. Well, something
I forgot
died.
they made those adapters for those old keyboards. Yeah. So then the top question. Go ahead,
Where did
Jen.
you say these? But where are these URLs for these two places?
They're on the keynote presentation.
Well, they're also, I believe both of these were in the MailChimp on Sunday.
You could just drag them off the keynote PDF that you'll see when we post it.
Or just click on it. And if you
or just
yeah,
download
live
it and
links.
click on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hot. So it's very useful. I looked through all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I
this
thought,
is
geez.
Glenn Flashman. He writes the 911 on, I think it's weekly on Macworld, and I include his stuff sometimes. He's good. And this is a summary of all the troubleshooting things he put together over a period of time. So this covers a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The top questions that people ask him. And the answers he had.
So you could see for yourself when you get to it. Otherwise, if we went through all this stuff, we'd be here till 6 o'clock. So let's move to the next slide, Chris. Status menus. Well, first of all, does anybody even know what status menus are? Well, you're about to find out because we've got a nice video coming up. Let's run it.
Okay.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today, let's look at using the status menus in the Mac menu bar. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So the status menus are the little icons that you see at the top right hand corner of your Mac screen. They're part of the menu bar, but instead of having words like File, Edit, View, Go, they've got symbols here on the top right. They all do various different things, but for the most part, when you click one, like the Bluetooth icon here, you get a menu that contains controls and switches. So here in Bluetooth, I could turn Bluetooth on and off, and I could see information about different Bluetooth devices. I can also choose this item here, which takes me to Bluetooth preferences. But not all of them work that way. For instance, the Spotlight icon will show the Spotlight search menu right in the middle of the screen. The Siri button will activate Siri.
Good morning, Gary. How can I help?
And the date and time in the upper right hand corner will bring up Notification Center. Now adding and removing these can be done several different ways. In some cases, they're part of different system preferences. For instance, for Bluetooth, if I go to System Preferences and then to Bluetooth, I'll see a checkbox here for Show Bluetooth in Menu Bar. If I uncheck that, you can see it disappeared. And if I check it again, it reappears. Sometimes third-party apps put things there and they have their own controls and their own settings. You'll see, for instance, ScreenFlow here, and it actually is there only because I'm running ScreenFlow at the time and recording. Other times icons will appear there even if the app isn't currently running, and you would normally add those and remove those in the preferences for that app. If you want to know what one of these does, simply click it and you usually get enough information from the context here to figure it out. For instance, I click this sound menu here and you can see I've got a sound volume control, and I also can control what output I'm currently using for the sound on my Mac. Now there's a very special icon here called Control Center. If you click that, you get a variety of different controls. For instance, here I can see Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirDrop controls, Do Not Disturb, screen mirroring, display brightness, and volume, and also music and audio playback controls. So Control Center is fairly new, and the idea is instead of having tons of status menus, you have a lot of very common things under one status menu. But actually a lot of these can be individual status menus as well. For instance, Bluetooth we already see here. But if I also wanted Wi-Fi to be up there, I could click and drag Wi-Fi up to the top just to add it there. And now I can access Wi-Fi controls here in Control Center by clicking there. But I could also access the same controls directly in Status Menu. Now if you go to System Preferences and then to Dock and Menu Bar, if you look on the left here, a lot of these things pertain to Control Center. So for instance, I can click here and I can see for Wi-Fi it's in Control Center and this is where it's located, which is indeed the case. I can also select whether or not to show in the menu bar or not. And you can go through all of the various items here, and all of them have Show in Menu Bar selected. And then below this you've got other modules, and sometimes you can add those to the menu bar and Control Center, and sometimes menu bar only, such as these items here. And you may see more depending upon what you have installed. And note here under Clock you also can determine what is shown for the clock. So whether or not the date is shown and what format is used for the time. You also can arrange these pretty easily right here in the menu bar. Hold the Command key down and click and drag left or right to rearrange the order. The Control Center, Siri, and the time are always going to be at the right, but everything else can be moved around. So I can move sound out to here. And also you can easily remove things by simply Command clicking and dragging down until you see the little X there and then releasing. And that's the same as unchecking it in System Preferences to remove it. So if you find you have too many items here, you may want to get rid of some that you can already access in Control Center. For instance, I'll get rid of Bluetooth here and Wi-Fi since I can easily access them here in Control Center. But I'll leave Fast User Switching because that's not available in Control Center and I want easy access to it. So I'll end with a couple of tips. One is if you hold the Option key down, you'll get extra options for some of the menus. For instance, normally if I click on sound, I'll have volume control and I'll be able to set the output. But if I hold the Option key down and click, I'll not only get outputs but also inputs here, and I can change those. For Bluetooth, if I select it, usually I just see my devices and an on-off switch. But if I hold the Option key down, I get lots of additional information about each device. And the same thing for Wi-Fi. Normally I just see my preferred network here, what I'm connected to, and I can turn off Wi-Fi. But holding the Option key down gives me lots of additional information. Also, the Option key works for the date and time to turn on and off Do Not Disturb. Normally you can do that in Control Center here and click Do Not Disturb to turn it on or off. But if you just Option click on the time, you can see it's grayed out now, meaning I have Do Not Disturb turned on. And finally, if you bring up Spotlight Search, you can move this around anywhere you want. But if you want to get it back to the center, all you need to do is click and hold the Spotlight status menu there, and it will snap back to its default location. If you have third-party apps that have status menu icons here, then try holding the Option key down and clicking on them to see if there's some hidden functions there.
The good old Option key. The Option key is your friend. Sometimes just pushing Control or Option. Option is the one with the most variants. But the good old Option key is an interesting place to explore. Try looking at your keyboard in the status bar sometime and hold your Option key down or your Control key and see all the different options you get. Okay, yeah, let's do it, Chris.
This is High Sierra, so I'm not sure what you mean by the keyboard thing. This is if I look at my Wi-Fi. I'm connected to my airport, and it gives me the Option key, gives me all the speeds and stuff. Transfer rate 176 megabits per second.
You got quite a bit of Wi-Fi around there.
Yeah, surprising. I'm in a housing estate, right? So houses aren't that close.
It's amazing.
But look at all the sonics. Wow.
I helped somebody set up a computer in Rossmore the other day. Holy moly. I couldn't believe how much.
That's because every single person in Rossmore now has Comcast with public Wi-Fi on it in all those units.
That's right. Go over to the keyboard, Chris. You see where it says battery, just to the right of battery. Shows the little command. There you go. Show keyboard viewer. Okay, now hold on the Option key.
Yeah, I have to use that key to get the British pound because I'm forever typing in that. So
and hold down the Control key and try Control Option. I think there's a way to show the euro. Yeah. Also the shift Option 3, I think, gives you the euro. Shift Option 2. Yeah,
Shift Option 2, yeah, it gives you a euro. Yeah.
Oh,
and of course the Apple symbol as well. I typed that in, so that's Shift Option K.
Yeah, and there's one I use when we receive a check, and I put it in the database that we received a check number so and so, which is Option V. This is a check mark. So I use that for shorthand for check.
That's not check mark. That's a square root.
Well, I use it as a check mark.
Okay.
I think there is a genuine check mark, but you have to go to emojis or symbols for that one. So anyway,
I had somebody who was doing that in an Excel spreadsheet, and we switched her to numbers because she got a new M1 Mac Mini and a new iPad Mini, and she was sharing them. But she wanted to take the pages. We converted them from Excel to pages, so that worked great on the iPad. But then she wanted to go to edit something and change the check mark. And it was really hard on the iPad to screw around to get the. So I did a find and replace on her whole spreadsheet to make it something real simple she could hit with one key instead of doing all these commands on the iPad, because it was like really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that worked fine once we did a find and replace.
Yep. So the Option key is a very powerful little key. Windows, they call it Alt. But yeah.
Cool.
So the last item on the agenda for today is this particular spot. There's a video, but it's 13 minutes long, and John and I both agreed that it's a yawner.
I started watching it because it looks enticing about how to organize your things, but
it's amazing.
That Tech Talk America guy comes up with the most convoluted things. He swears they work.
He says
I couldn't figure out what he was trying to do.
At the very beginning of this video, he says, don't do anything. Watch it 3 times and make notes, and then follow what I'm doing, and it'll be clear. But if you're brave and you want to try this, I think it really is worthwhile. So it's pretty good. So anyway, that concludes what I've got today. So what else do we want to talk about?
So you want to tell, since we didn't get very much response about the Mac Clinic, you want to explain people what we're doing for the Mac Clinic?
Yeah, we put an announcement out Sunday, which undoubtedly you all have read, indicating that we are going to resurrect the Mac Clinic. And in addition, we're going to expand it a little bit because through the magic of Zoom, I haven't tried this yet, but John has, one can get into someone else's computer with their permission. And so what we're going to do, rather than just call me for an appointment for the clinic, and we're going to be limited there, and I'll cover that in a second, call me and we're going to start the regular Tuesday meeting at 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. And we'll see if we can't go into breakout rooms and get into people's computers to repair minimal problems and sort of separating the wheat from the chaff. The serious problems, we will then set up an appointment for them to bring their computer physically into the club office for the Mac Clinic. At the club office, we're going to be very limited. We can only handle 3 individuals because of the my phone is ringing. We can only handle 3 individuals because of COVID regulations, and that'll be because we'll have 1 technician on each of the 3 available walls. We'll be able to work with you that way. Additionally, let's say that we need to install a hard drive. The club authorized me to purchase 3 drive enclosures. Now, I may be foolish to agree to do this, but I have said I would do it. That if somebody needs to replace an SSD, their drive with an SSD, that I will deliver one of these enclosures to their home. And after they've gotten their new SSD, we can do a data transfer or a clone onto the external drive that we've made it on this guy, so that when they come to the clinic, we slip it out of this box, slip it into the new machine and send them home, rather than have to go through hours and hours and hours of copying all the data. So we had one call for the clinic, and we're already scheduled to do a solid state drive replacement on an 11-inch MacBook Air. But I would expect that probably there may be some more calls. People may come up with some items that are troubling to them. So you can give me a call and we can schedule you for the 2 o'clock section next Tuesday. See how it goes. One of the things, no exceptions, sorry to be a hard nose, but before we let you in the office with your equipment, we're going to be practicing good, safe pandemic rules. You have to show us your vaccination card, and we're going to use hand sanitizer, and there will be only the computer, the technician, and the owner at one table, and there will only be 3 tables, so we can only take 3. We're not going to be able to take afternoon appointments because as we found in the past that many of our morning appointments move over to the afternoon, and we'd have people milling about out in the hallway. So we're taking tender little steps right now and trying to work out the processes, and hopefully it's going to work out well, and we can modify it as time goes by. So
What
anybody
about
got-
masks, Rick? What's your policy on masks?
Yeah, we should be wearing masks.
Okay.
Even though we've been vaccinated, we should wear masks. And maybe I'll try and remember to bring a box of masks if people
I
don't.
think there's a bunch of them there. People have brought them in and left them. There's quite a few of. I've never used them. Brand
Okay,
new ones.
yeah, we don't want to reuse a mask
No.
for
Right.
somebody. I've got some KN95s that I use myself. But
And
I have
there's
some
clear,
flu
there's everything you need. It's I've been doing it for last year. It's been set up for working on stuff.
Alexa,
There's Clorox
stop.
wipes. Usually when somebody comes in with something, I wipe it all down. 2 keyboards on each table. If it's an iMac, I plug in 2 keyboards, 2 mice. If you need to touch the keyboard and type your password, you touch that one and I'll touch this one. I don't touch your computer. You have a laptop, I plug in one computer, you type on the laptop, I type on the external.
Good plan.
And I have some of those pens we were selling for $1 to touch the iPads and the, so you don't have to touch with your finger. So I've been kind of using those if I can remember.
These guys.
Yep.
Additionally, if you do need to replace your drive with solid state or something, we'll direct you to a vendor where you can order that stuff and have it ready for us to do a clone in your own home. And then you just bring that device that we set up for you, bring that to the clinic. We'll take your drive out, take the drive out of the Mac, break the Mac open, put the new drive in, put it all together for you and test it out, and you go on home and all your data is secure and give you your old drive.
What are you doing with the new adhesive?
I have a dozen sets for all 5 kinds.
We
at the
will be
office.
doing the new adhesive strips, and unfortunately, they're not free. They're $10, right, John?
Yeah, $10 make them all the same. They're minorly different. It's just make it a flat $10 and makes it easy.
Yeah.
There turns out there's 3 different 27 inches and 2 21 inches, discounting the iMac Pro, which are 2 kinds of that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the difference is with them, but the only one I know is the early and lates have the microphones in a different position with the little hole. But apparently there's some other differences too in the 27s. I don't know what it is.
Now, the 27 inches require not just a solid state drive. There's a thermal connector that is proprietary to Otherworld Computing. You can buy it from Amazon also.
Yeah, that's like $40.
Yeah, it's $40.
And then the adapter bracket's $10. So there's $50 in parts there for the 27s.
And 500 gig solid state drives are down to 100 and something now, aren't they?
Oh no. Oh, 500. Yeah, the 256s were what? They went up. They were 25. Now they're 35 or 40 for the non Samsung Evos. The Evos are a little more.
I replaced the 256 Evo. Did the whole job for this friend for, it was about $50. It was cheap.
Yeah.
So
the 21s, the time consuming thing is cloning the thing. If you got a clone drive, a couple of them I've taken apart when I had to refix them. And twice now I put in the factory OEM and took it back out right away. 20 minutes for the whole job.
Yeah.
I just checked prices on Amazon. The new Samsung 860 Evo, 860 is a new model, just came out like a month or 2 ago. For 500 gigabytes is $72.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
Get out. Oh my gosh.
What was that a year ago? 500?
And a lot of people
Not that much. But
computers almost for the last 10 years have come with 1 terabyte drives, but some people have almost nothing on their computers. They have 100 gigs. They have almost nothing, sometimes 60 gigs for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Really, you need one over 256 unless you got media. You got a lot of photos or something, or, you know. And then sometimes people have over 500. As soon as you get close to 500, you've got to go to a terabyte because you're going to get some more stuff.
For those of you who've got 21-inch Macs, the difference in speed will be incredible. Well, not just 21s, but 27s also.
It's the further you go. If you have a fairly new machine, like a 2015, and you upgraded it to like Catalina and then Big Sur, sometimes it seems like the computer is broken. It is so slow, it's almost unusable.
Yeah.
And that turns out to be what's wrong.
And the addition of the solid state drive, just it's unbelievable. It's just wow. The friend who I replaced on the 21-inch took almost 2.5 minutes to boot up with the old drive, and with the new drive, it booted up in 17 seconds.
Yep, it's unbelievable.
It's not just boot time. The newer Catalina, Big Sur, even Mojave, the operating system was optimized for solid state drives. So it really slows to a crawl the further you go with an operating system, because I don't know how to deal with this spinning hard drive. I want a solid state like you said I should have.
Yeah.
I would assume in the future, as these computers get older and we go on, even though they're only 4 or 5 years old, that it's almost going to be mandatory that you do this.
Yeah.
It's just going to get worse.
Well, I did it to my 2015 27-inch, and boy, it's like a new machine.
It's really hard to work on one if you're doing a whole bunch of maintenance and got a whole etcher check running, and you're doing this and you're cleaning that and running multiple updates. It runs out of memory. It starts right into the spinning hard drive, and the whole thing just like, it seems like it's locked up. It just slows to a crawl. You're trying to do more than a bunch of things at once on a spinning hard drive really don't work.
No.
Anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hate to say that, but my 2014 MacBook Air will not turn on. No ding, no screen. I noticed one thing. The reason I'm saying is I'm gonna have to bring it in because I can't figure it out. I've tried.
Before you do that, do an SMC reset. Did you do an SMC reset?
I think I did an SMC reset with all the and a power button for
Command Shift
seconds.
Power for 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, and the battery seems to be full. Now I have to tell you, I tried updating it to a 256.
Oh, after that it didn't work?
I couldn't do it at first because of one thing or another. And I took it out and put it back in. I created a
clone.
I created the bootable's USB drive in order to load the new system on there, and it just wouldn't come up with that at that point. It wouldn't turn on.
So you cloned it to the USB drive?
No. This is just a bootable.
You made a bootable installer.
With an installer on the right. There was no clone on it. I couldn't care less about what was on there. But I can't even turn the thing on. So
it was running, and then you took out the SSD and put in the new one, and it wouldn't do anything?
That's correct. And
you got to get it to boot off the external.
I can't get it to do anything.
Oh, so you're just seeing a black screen.
I see a black screen.
Did you boot off the external? Did you put the original SSD back in?
Yes, I did. It's in there
It's
now.
still, yikes.
I don't see anything
I think you're a
broken.
candidate for the Mac clinic.
I don't see anything broken inside. I'm just at a loss. I've tried.
It's easy to open up. Open it up, take the SSD completely out and try to boot off the USB. It should boot off the SSD.
Ah,
I mean, off the US. You don't have to have an SSD in to boot. You could, if you did the clone right. Did you boot off the USB installer? Was that at all?
no, it stopped working after I took out the old.
But you never successfully booted off of that in your hand.
That's correct.
Okay, so you don't know if that's any good either.
Now, the reason I had to do that is because I had multiple failures. I was trying to restart. I tried to restart it from my time machine, and it sees the time machine. It sees the restart. I mean, sees the MacBook and stuff, but it says there is a problem opening the time machine, so I couldn't do that.
So you can boot off the time. You can boot off the time machine.
No, I mean,
No,
restore
you
it.
can't.
Restore it. I was able to boot off. I was able to boot it to the restore portion, and it wasn't able to read the time machine. Wasn't able to open the time machine.
Oh,
So then I have a separate USB back time machine that I've used before, an older version of it. Won't even see the USB for some reason. Will not see it, and I don't understand why.
I would try to get the original SSD back in there.
The old or the new? The old, right?
original.
The original SSD
right,
is
the
back in it,
128.
and it still won't light up.
It won't light up. I don't see Mac with a question mark or no system, no nothing.
And your USB circuits are not seeing the other drives now
That's
either.
correct.
I'm wondering if you've got a problem on your motherboard.
Uh-oh. Oh,
The IO system may be shot.
I noticed one thing, that it was when it had the old USB in there, when I would shut it down, it would shut down, but then the next day or whenever I turned it on, it would take longer and longer to boot. I would press the button and I wouldn't hear anything till a few seconds later, and then I'd hear the bong. And that would get longer and longer. And I figured, oops, something.
You may have a hardware issue that would be beyond us.
Hmm.
How old is this Mini?
I'm sorry?
What year is this Mini?
It's an Air.
My Mini, it's
Oh,
20.
It's an Air, a Mac. It's a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini.
It's an Air 2014.
Okay.
Well, we have bootable SSDs. I have that will boot it. I have everything on an SSD that'll boot anything to see if
Yeah,
boot
you
off
could
a
boot from,
alternate drive.
but his USB ports are not working.
Well, it's apparently it doesn't even light up the screen, right?
Right.
And I don't think we could hear you. It sounds like you're talking, but we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My daughter's 2018 MacBook Air, the USB stopped working. She's taking it to Apple this Friday. It's funny though, it won't charge with the Apple brick, but she does have a Chromebook brick that she's using, and it charges, but very, very slowly. So I'll know more about that problem Friday.
Yeah.
I remember years and years ago, there was a couple models that had pram batteries and were just dead until you replace the pram battery. But I don't think these units have that.
No, I don't think so. If they have anything, it's probably a condenser.
So batteries can do very weird things. So we had one, who did that belong to? his battery was so bad that it would boot up, but you couldn't use it. And you went to activity monitor and it was going full blast. You couldn't use it. And I couldn't figure it out. Finally, somebody said, okay, it may be the battery. If the battery is so bad, it shows 0% and it wouldn't charge. And when that happens, it goes into protected mode where all it does is try to charge the battery. You can't use the computer. So we opened it up and I unplugged the battery, and sure enough, running off the power supply, booted right up, run fine. So the battery was killing it.
Yeah.
So what we did was temporarily, I snipped the cable on the battery and put it back together because
it was an error.
While he ordered a battery, because the battery was glued in, so we couldn't just take it out. And
just
I couldn't
unplug it from we open it up and just pull the.
You couldn't unplug it because the cord was in the way, and put it back together and use it. So I just snipped the wire because the battery was bad anyway.
Oh, no,
because if you snipped it, I could get the back on.
Well, you know, before it's recommended that you unplug the battery before you install the new SSD.
Yeah.
And then it's a little pull.
On the model he's talking about, the plug was obscured by the glued in battery. So he had to clip the cables.
I clipped the cable so we could put it back together and use it while we ordered a battery. Because you take the back off in 5 minutes. It's 12 screws.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked. And then, we snipped it and he used it for a week. And then when the battery came, I unglued the battery and put it in, and then it was fine.
Sometimes we've seen these batteries swell to the point that the trackpad and the keyboard stop working, and people couldn't figure that out. And then you look at the bottom and it's bulging a little bit. And
so your battery charger, that when you plug in the mag, has MagSafe, does the light up like it's charging?
Mine, it's showing green.
Showing green, so it's all
right
charged
now.
up.
It's been charging for hours.
And if you
now.
go, and you can't start it up to see what the condition is.
So can I unplug the battery? And
I think you can.
I can do that and try to just off the power supply.
I think you can unplug the battery, but you won't be able to put the back on while it's unplugged.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's
because then it sticks out.
Right.
But you can have the battery disconnected, and that will definitely reset the SMC and see if it'll run with no battery. See if it'll at least light up the screen. You'd be surprised.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Well, in the meantime, Rick, what's the phone number to make an appointment?
My home phone number, 925-228-4992.
4992, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can
we
I
have
just
one?
Sorry, Rick, go on.
I was just going to say, we already have one appointment scheduled.
Okay. Can I schedule? I have to call you. I'll call you.
Yeah, I need to triage you. I need to go through the database.
So just unplug the battery. Don't put the back on, because you won't be able, and then see what happens.
If
something happens, if it does start up, then you can shut it down, plug the battery back in. Don't put the back on, and see what happens.
It's interesting the computer goes into safe mode. I remember when my car went into safe mode with me and John driving in it north on Highway 1 in Bolinas. The damn thing tried to kill us. Literally.
Let me tell you a short story. I was driving a Prius that went into a safe mode coming down from the Altamont Pass. They tried to kill me. There were trucks behind me that noticed there was lights turned on and everything. And it was like, oh, I know what you mean.
It wouldn't shift. It was stuck in high gear.
It was
fine if you're just going on the highway. If you had to stop at a stop sign, it was stuck in high gear. It was like, we made it all the way back from God knows where we were, up in Jenner or some fucking place. Excuse my English, we're still recording.
The thing with
still recording, John.
Yeah, let's try and keep this.
I need to stop the recording now.
Before we do, let me just clarify what I said earlier. I said the Samsung 860 EVO was a new model. No, it's not. It's a Samsung 870 is a new model. 870 EVO is a new model. And I checked the price. That's even cheaper than the 860. The 870 EVO 500 gigabyte is $65, not the 860, which is 72. So it's only $65 for 500 gigabytes. And in most cases, 500 gigabytes is plenty enough.
I can't see it right now, but I'm gonna hold on to it. It's in.
Yeah, those, I checked those, what are those, those sticks that are generic, what are they? The NM2s or something?
And then, yeah, NVMe.
NVMEs, yeah, they're more money, but those are really fast.
They're fast. Yeah, they're fast.
They're faster than the 2.5. They're really fast.
Yeah, the old ones are just limited to SATA speeds, serial 88.
Right.
But the new
They're
ones are
PCI
NVMe,
based,
and they're oof.
And then the case is Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So they're like, they're as fast as an internal.
Yeah.
There was an article that the guy, the Mac 911 guy wrote, and he had a 27-inch iMac, and it just got so slow, it was like not usable. He didn't want to open it up. So we got one of these NVMEs and a Thunderbolt case. And he said he did speed test, the Blackmagic speed test. It says just as fast as the internal SSD, in another one. So it makes no difference.
I gotta go.
You can move it to another machine.
Thanks for your presentation. Your presentation is fantastic. Really good.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Let's stop the video.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me say.
Everybody wait. Bye-bye.
Everybody's still there, 27 people. I'll say night, night.
Night, bye.
See you later, alligator.
Take care.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.